When Zaya Persian received her new passport in the mail with an incorrect gender marker, she claims she knew exactly who was responsible.
In case you're wondering what it's like being transgender under this new administration.
First, the 22-year-old social media influencer immediately took to TikTok to express her frustration.
They changed the gender to male because of Donald Trump.
And then she sued, joining 6 other transgender and non-binary people in a lawsuit filed by the American Civil Liberties Union, who are arguing that the new U.S. State Department policy under Republican President Donald Trump is unconstitutional. Persian spoke to Reuters with her ACLU lawyer present.
This is something that has been forced upon me, basically. And it's really unfair and kind of crazy, but that's why we're fighting it.
Now, they're waiting to see whether a federal judge in Boston agrees in a closely watched case that could have far-reaching impacts.
Protecting women from radical gender ideologies.
The U.S. State Department adopted the policy in accordance with an executive order battling what it terms gender ideology extremism that Trump signed on his first day back in office. The order mandates that the federal government recognize only 2 sexes, male and female, defined as, quote, immutable biological classifications based on the type of reproductive cell that a fetus is meant to produce, quote, at conception. Critics of the executive order have pointed out that sex differentiation doesn't occur until later in the fetal period, and that the order also doesn't acknowledge intersex people. Supporters of the order largely align with the Trump administration's desire to enshrine binary sexes. For Persian, who was assigned male at birth, it's an assault on her personhood.
Basically, right after I turned 18 is when I decided to openly transition and finally go for it. It hasn't been an easy journey, but it's been very fulfilling. This is America. We should have the freedom to be who we are.
The U.S. State Department declined to comment. The U.S. Department of Justice, which is defending the policy in court, did not respond to requests for comment. The administration has argued that the policy is vital to addressing concerns that indeterminate definitions of sex undermine long-standing cherished legal rights and values. On January 23rd, Persian submitted an expedited application to update the sex designation on her passport to female, after having secured the change on other government documents like her driver's license. But by then, Trump was in office. Less than a week later, her passport was returned to her, with a notice stating that her sex was, quote, corrected on your passport application.
At the end of the day, I'm a woman, and I don't care how many people agree or disagree.
According to Sruthi Swaminathan, a staff attorney on the ACLU's LGBTQ and HIV project, the policy has nothing to do with correctness, but rather specifically targets transgender people.
This is an anti-transgender policy. There were no issues with the prior policy. This policy does nothing but create chaos and confusion and harm.
Lawyers for the plaintiffs say that the policy reflects a reversal of decades of practice at the State Department, which for more than 30 years allowed people to update the sex designation on their passports.
This is not just about, showing an ID document. Like the government argues, your clients have passports. There's no harm here. That's not true at all. Not only is there an exposure to physical harm, harassment, discrimination, there's a dignitary harm to carrying a document that does not reflect who they are.
In 2022, President Joe Biden's administration allowed people for the first time to choose X as a neutral sex marker on their passport applications, as well as being able to self-select M or F for male or female.
I finally am at a place where I feel like myself, and I feel comfortable and 100% secure in my body, which is something I've never felt before. And a lot of people don't understand that, and they never will. But life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and what I have pursued is happiness, and I'm happy. So I don't know why that makes people mad.
The Justice Department has argued that Trump has broad discretion to determine rules for issuing passports. But during a March 25th hearing, a U.S. district judge appeared skeptical of that argument and questioned how the policy could not be considered discriminatory, saying that gender identity is something worth recognizing.